The, the legal driving age should remain as is for my partner has pointed out the disadvantages that it causes, in it being not reasonable enough for California. Let me start again. The legal driving age should remain as is for my partner has pointed out the disadvantages that it creates, in it being not reasonable enough for California to raise the driving age to 18. My classmate Letty defends her partner's points of 16-year-olds are not prepared or responsible enough by stating that A, the brain of a 16-year-old is not fully developed. Even if they pass a driving exam, they can still have serious chances of car fatalities. B, not all passengers are responsible drivers who care for their health and safety of others. And C, having teenagers obtain their driver's license until the age of 18 will result in a significant saving. In light of her points, I would like to focus on one of her points, that is the affirmative's main supporting block for wanting to raise the driving age to 18, and the justification for all her other points. On point A, my opponent Letty basically stated that the brains of a 16-year-old is still not fully developed, and that the brains of a 16-year-old is still not fully developed, and the reason is that 16-year-olds are not prepared and responsible enough. I quote from Slate magazine that while significant growth occurs early on, the brain reaches 90% of its adult size by the age of 6. The fact that we have already 90% of our brain grown by the age of 6 more than logically shows that by the time we are in our adolescence, we can infer that teenagers can be majorly prepared and be capable enough to drive adequately when they are taught to drive whenever their parents decide to choose. I also quote once again from the Slate magazine that around age 11 girls and 12 in boys, and continues into the early or mid-20s, an area associated in the prefrontal cortex, an area associated with higher functions such as planning, reasoning, judgment, and impulsive control, meaning that a person's brain, or better specifically specified as a prefrontal cortex, has been growing since they were small. That means a 16-year-old does have the ability to plan, make judgments, and have control over impulses to a certain extent, of course. Since they already have, 18-year-olds just have more. 18-year-olds just have more of a developed brain, but 16-year-olds also have a developed brain, but not as small as a greater difference in 18-year-old brains. To conclude, the evidence I have provided is enough to underemphasize the affirmative's reason for change, for they majorly use the points that rely on the idea that 16-year-olds is not capable of being responsible or prepared enough to drive because of the way the teenager's brain is.